I-12, the sole completed Type A2 submarine, had a short but adventurous career. One, sadly, marred by the Imperial Japanese tendency for breaking the laws of war. It is telling that the one confirmed sinking by the submarine was such a crime. Not for the sinking itself, but for what the crew did following the torpedoing of their target. Beyond this, I-12 did not see much in the way of service. Though there are some inconsistencies in reports of her sinking, I will generally be following the accepted historical record, beyond making note of those inconsistencies. This will be a short video as a companion to yesterday's video on the derivative Type AM class, to finish the story of these submarines. I-12 is, after all, the one member of the original Type A2 class to not be converted to a Type AM. Laid down on November 5th, 1942, I-12 wouldn't be launched until August 3rd the following year, and her commissioning wouldn't be until May 25th of 1944. A typically protracted construction time for one of these big Japanese submarines, and one that would, in common with her converted sisters, see her with very little actual combat service. I-12 displaced around 2,900 tons on the surface and 4,000 submerged, on a length of 113.7 meters, 373 feet, and a beam of 11.7 meters, 38 feet. While this makes her by any metric very large for World War II submarines, she was by no means as big as the bigger submarines Japan built. Intended for long-distance sailing and for acting as a command ship for submarine squadrons, I-12 would only end up performing one of those roles. For, on her first combat patrol, she was sent all the way across the Pacific. With her 6 bow torpedo tubes, carrying 18 of the submarine version of the Long Lance, I-12 was a potent warship to send on such a mission. Her single 140mm, 5.5-inch deck gun, and her 2 twin 25mm mounts were almost an afterthought in this regard. Or they would have been in most cases, but we'll get to that. Departing Japan on October 4th, 1944, I-12 would see no combat until she arrived near Hawaii. It was here, after intercepting a message from a cargo ship, that she would sink her one and only confirmed kill. That cargo ship, SS John A. Johnson, was your stereotypical Liberty ship, carrying Army supplies in a stereotypical Liberty ship kind of duty. She would not finish that transport run. Late on October 29th, I-12 fired 2 torpedoes at the Johnson. One missed and exploded some distance away, the other hit the Liberty ship and broke her back. This is all pretty standard submarine warfare up to this point, and would have been nothing special, other than for those poor people aboard Johnson, if not for what I-12's captain and crew did at this point. Apparently not content with watching the Liberty ship break into and sink, the submarine surfaced nearby some 30 minutes after the initial attack. By this point, the crew of the Johnson were in their lifeboats, and could only watch as this utterly gargantuan submarine attempted to ram one of the lifeboats, and then began to rake the survivors in the water in boats with her 25mm mounts. Reports indicate her crew going so far as to shout "Banzai" as they did so. I shouldn't need to say this, but trying to run down survivors of a sinking ship, blasting away at them with gunfire, and maybe even trying to kill them with your propellers, is a war crime. Luckily, while sources differ on how many died, the vast majority of the Johnson's crew would survive, as I-12 eventually tired of the attacks and left. After this point, though, the fate of the submarine becomes a bit murky. The most commonly accepted story is that, on November 13th, I-12 would be sunk by the minesweeper USS Ardent and the Coast Guard manned frigate USS Rockford. While escorting a convoy between California and Hawaii, the 2 ships would engage a submarine. Between explosions and wreckage rising to the surface, and oil slick and debris with Japanese writing on it, the 2 ships would be credited with sinking a submarine, most likely I-12. The Japanese, for their part, would get garbled messages leading them to believe I-12 was still around and sinking shipping until January of 1945, but this is incredibly unconfirmed. I tend to lean towards the official report here, as very few Japanese submarines could possibly have been operating in the area that Ardent and Rockford attacked one that late in the war. Regardless, I-12 is, well, her erstwhile sisters, I-13 and I-14, had honorable service and interesting careers. I-12's claim to fame is committing a war crime. Late war Japanese things, I suppose. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.